Tonight on Cronkite News, see why some determined World Cup fans feel like they won the lottery.
There's definitely urgency. We know that we need to be playing better.
Plus, learn how one player's historic night on the court wasn't quite enough to secure the overtime win.
And President Trump arrives in France for the G7 summit. Learn what the U.S. is focusing on next, coming up on Cronkite News. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Andrew Montana.
And I'm Zoe Lamb. Thank you for joining us.
The U.S. men's national team earned its first victory against Paraguay on Friday.
Reporter Noah Podolsky was able to attend its first practice in Irvine, California. He tells us what comes next.
Thank you, guys. The United States men's national team had an impressive performance to begin the World Cup play on Friday night in Los Angeles with a 4-1 victory on Paraguay. Next up for the Stars and Stripes is Australia, who sits atop the Group C standings with the U.S. and their 2-0 win over Turkey on Saturday. One of the big concerns for the United States going into Friday's game against Australia is the health of Christian Pulisic, who only played in the first half versus Paraguay after feeling tightness in his left calf. At this point, all signs are positive for Pulisic to be ready to go Friday's game. Team's looking very sharp. From Irvine, California, with the U.S. men's national soccer team, I'm Noah Podolsky, Cronkite News.
Meanwhile, thousands of fans have arrived to Atlanta as the city hosts its first ever FIFA match. Spain faces Cabo Verde today, the first of 8 World Cup games to be held in the city. In addition to today's match, thousands of people attended the FIFA Fan Zone Festival in the city's Centennial Olympic Park.
For soccer fans across the country, the chance to see the U.S. men's national team train in person almost seemed impossible. I had the chance to take a trip to Irvine and hear about this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity from the fans.
Ticket prices for the World Cup are one of the hottest topics in soccer, but in Orange County, one of the most sought-after tickets wasn't for a match at all. It was just to see the U.S. men's national team train.
Girl, it was a process. They had one issue. There was like looking for a code, but they really wanted your email. Put the email address in, and from there pretty much ran pretty smooth.
For many fans, getting into the U.S. men's national team community training session felt just as difficult and just as exciting as scoring a seat for the actual World Cup.
I, entered the lottery. Me and my dad, we were really hopeful, and we were one of the lucky Irvine people to get the tickets.
With over 30,000 applicants to come to this community day event at Great Park in Irvine, only 5,500 of those people were lucky enough to sit in these stands to watch the U.S. men's national team before their first game.
Getting tickets wasn't something that happened on its own. It required a little help and a little bit of networking.
It was like I almost won the lottery.
Some relied on friends, family members, or co-workers who managed to get selected into the pool, passing along extra spots so others could experience the rare opportunity as well.
I applied, I didn't get it. I had several friends apply and they didn't get it. But luckily one of my co-workers got one and she wasn't able to make it and she gave them to me and I was like so thrilled. Like this is like my favorite thing is World Cup.
As the U.S. continues its journey on the world's biggest stage, moments like this show that for fans who have followed the team for decades, the dream isn't just to watch history happen, it's to be a part of it.
The U.S. men's national team plays its next match against Australia on Friday at noon.
Now to the Big 12, which has filed a complaint against Texas Tech and the Texas Attorney General over their decision to support quarterback Brendan Sorsby. Sorsby is accused of placing bets on games, including his own, and he was banned from playing in the NCAA. But he was granted a temporary injunction from a Texas judge, clearing him. Now the Big 12 is asking a federal judge to take action against the Red Raiders. The conference has sanctions in mind if Sorsby plays, including a ban on competing in the Big 12 championship game.
The Hamilton Huskies clawed their way back from a 7-run deficit to win yet another state championship, providing a fitting farewell to the retiring National Head Coach Hall of Fame, Mike Woods. Here is Ryan Orsini reporting on Woods' legacy.
The Hamilton Huskies have been a perennial power in Arizona high school baseball for more than 2 decades under head coach Mike Woods, who won his 10th state title this season, which will be his last, as Woods announced his retirement shortly after, leaving a legacy that won't be forgotten.
I'm kind of a psycho, you know what I mean? I as far as baseball is concerned, I really push it, and I put a lot of time and energy and emotion and everything into it. It's been my life. I'm feeling really fortunate. I mean, this school opened up. I was at the right place at the right time around the right people.
Woods started Hamilton's baseball program in 1999, the first of 28 seasons in which he led the Huskies to the big game 13 times.
But sometimes when you're at the top of the mountain, it's not always easy to win because everybody's shooting for you. Mike did a great job. And then in the last 12 years that he's won 7 state championships, pretty amazing.
And Woods has had talent to win those titles, sending more than 150 players to the professional or college levels, including 5 Gatorade Arizona High School Players of the Year.
Well, his legacy is intact. I mean, he's a great coach, high integrity, class, and he's a competitor. He competes, yeah. And everybody knows who the boss is.
Coming from a big program in Hamilton, it's like, to another big program in U of A, it's a brand. Playing for your family, but you're also playing for, what's on the front of your jersey.
If you look at the numbers, he's the GOAT. It's not even close. But it's not what he's done on the field. It's the impact he's made on the guys throughout their lives. That's special.
Baseball's pretty much given me everything, especially professionally. Yeah, no, I'm going to miss it. Yeah.
And Arizona high school baseball won't be the same without him.
Coming up next, a historic battle returns to Washington, D.C.
Yes, Andrew, but it's not the kind of battle that you may be thinking of.
We're not here to take the game too seriously. It's an opportunity to show the country that we can still get along in the baseball field, even if we're going to disagree on the House floor.
It wins as Democrats and Republicans compete in an annual baseball game for charity. Coming up next on Cronkite News.
Plus, the start to the summer monsoon season has officially arrived. So is there any rain in our immediate future? Details up next.
People have always had trouble trying to put me into a box. A professor, suit and tie is just not me. Without the ocean, I don't know what I would do. The ocean's always been there for me. As Hawaiian people, we believe that the coral is the first living being to come out of the darkness. It's the foundation of our entire lifestyle, and that's what my research is about. What we do is we take photographs of the reef over long periods of time to create models that can tell us what the planet is doing. If we go deaf to what the Earth is telling us, then we'll never be able to live in harmony. If I can get my students excited about protecting the ocean, then they're the ones who are gonna really make the difference. I hope my students realize that I'm not trying to prepare them for something in the distant future. Their time is now at Arizona State University.
Innovation at the Walter Cronkite School is pushing the boundaries of traditional journalism.
Storytelling has evolved over the years. This is part of that evolution.
Students in the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Lab are using emerging technology to create scenes in augmented and virtual reality, coding playable games, and bringing the audience into the story.
They're only limited by their imagination and their willingness to learn.
Find out more at cronkite.asu.edu.
Copper, long ball, you bet!
The Mercury's Kahleah Copper on fire, scoring 41 points against the Los Angeles Sparks. That's a career high for her, but it wasn't enough to pull out a win. In Phoenix, the Mercury are the reigning WNBA finalists.
And despite their winning history, I took a look into why the Mercury are off to a relatively slow start as they hit their 15-game mark. Last season, the Mercury won 11 of their first 15 games on their way to the WNBA Finals. But against Los Angeles, Phoenix was hoping to avoid losing for the 11th time through its first 15 games of this season.
There's definitely urgency. We know that we need to be playing better. But at the same time, you got to have patience, and sometimes that's hard.
The most urgent of all against the Sparks was Mercury guard Kahleah Copper. She dropped 14 points in the first quarter alone, kickstarting a career-high 41-point performance.
I see the work she put in daily, so this is bound to come. And so when she's going off, it's great for us. It's great for the team. We feed off of her. She's one of our leaders, and we couldn't do this without her.
But unfortunately for Phoenix, LA's Kelsey Plum scored 43 points, also a career high, alongside 7 assists.
She a dog. She know when to take over games. She got in the mode. There was just times where we needed to get her off the three-point line. You know, that's the slippage, and that's just not letting someone score the same kind of way.
Following a 111-102 loss in overtime against the LA Sparks, the Phoenix Mercury fall to a record of 4-11 in their first 15 games, the third worst in the WNBA. But with 27 games remaining in the season, expectations still remain high.
I mean, we're trying to have a better record. We're trying to win. We're trying to go to the playoffs.
Just trying to keep the team encouraged, because it's easy to get down. You know, we lost those games, and a lot of games we were in, and then kind of got away from us. But just keeping our fight. I don't think we ever quit.
And while the Mercury may not be on a hot streak themselves, Arizona still is, because today marks the first day of the monsoon's arrival. So, is there any rain in our immediate forecast?
Sophia Toro now joins us from the Cronkite Weather Center with our forecast.
Yes, thank you guys. So this morning, it looks like we did experience a little bit of rain. As of right now, there is no rain, but as you can see, that overcast is here. Looks like it's going down just a little bit throughout the night, but not too much, as we're in the high 90s. Now for the bigger picture here, looks like we're having some showers on Tuesday, and then again some showers on Wednesday. Going into our lows here in the valley, starting at 89 degrees, still pretty toasty. Northern part of the state, Grand Canyon is at 50 degrees. Looks like they're having some New York weather. And you know, I never show any love to the eastern part of the state here. They're in the high 50s and the 60s. Southern part here is always looking good, high 60s and 70s. Now going into our highs. Now folks, if you have a friend that has a pool, now's the time to call them, because we're sitting at 111 degrees here in the valley. The northern part of the state, Grand Canyon, 88 degrees, and the western part is going to be 110 to 115. Looks like the southern part is in the high 90s here, catching up to us. As for the rest of the week, folks, it looks like we're still in those triple digits. Thursday to Tuesday, it's going to be in those high temperatures, folks. If you're looking for something to do on Sunday for Father's Day, make sure to stay indoors because it will be toasty. That's all for today, folks. From the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm Sophia Toro.
Thank you, Sophia. Traveling to the other side of the U.S., Congress is often defined as hyperpartisanship, but the public got a different look last week.
That's right, Zoe. Lawmakers stepped away from the Capitol and stepped up to the plate. Cronkite News reporter Will Mahan has the scoop in Washington, D.C.
At Nationals Park, Democrats and Republicans took the field for the annual congressional baseball game, a competition far removed from their usual battles.
We always try to find ways to work across the aisle, especially when it's the best interests of Arizonans. So this is just a great time for us to play against our teammates on the other side and just enjoy America's pastime.
As the game gets underway, political rhetoric fades into the background, replaced by loud cheers and the spirit of America's favorite pastime.
We're not here to take the game too seriously. It's an opportunity to show the country that we can still get along in the baseball field, even if we're going to disagree on the House floor.
For a few hours, the partisanship takes a back seat. But once the uniforms come off, these same lawmakers return to a Capitol where the divides are much harder to bridge.
We tried to finish up before this game on the Homeland Security bill. We weren't able to wrap it up. I mean, you got to promote good ideas, stand up for your principles, find common ground where you can. But this game is to compete, and we're going to go get it done.
Lawmakers here talk about teamwork, trust, and relationships. But the real test comes after the game, when the same Democrats and Republicans walk back into a Congress defined by sharp disagreement.
Lawmakers say that events like this matter because they help relationships survive the divisive nature of national politics.
A game like this helps us take the mind off some of the serious stuff for a little bit. Hopefully open some doors, build some bonds to help do the real work of Congress and not just all the infighting that most people see on TV and social media.
The game wasn't even close. 11-2, the 6th straight win for Republicans. For Cronkite News, I'm Will Mahan in Washington.
Coming up next, a look at today's news headlines,
including a new report on how heat impacts the most vulnerable people in our community.
So that's what our goal is, to go out there and make some meaningful connections with people.
Learn how organizations are making an impact in shelters all around Phoenix. Coming up on Cronkite News.
People have always had trouble trying to put me into a box. A professor, suit and tie is just not me. Without the ocean, I don't know what I would do. The ocean's always been there for me. As Hawaiian people, we believe that the coral is the first living being to come out of the darkness. It's the foundation of our entire lifestyle, and that's what my research is about. What we do is we take photographs of the reef over long periods of time to create models that can tell us what the planet is doing. If we go deaf to what the Earth is telling us, then we'll never be able to live in harmony. If I can get my students excited about protecting the ocean, then they're the ones who are gonna really make the difference. I hope my students realize that I'm not trying to prepare them for something in the distant future. Their time is now at Arizona State University.
Innovation at the Walter Cronkite School is pushing the boundaries of traditional journalism.
Storytelling has evolved over the years. This is part of that evolution.
Students in the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Lab are using emerging technology to create scenes in augmented and virtual reality, coding playable games, and bringing the audience into the story.
They're only limited by their imagination and their willingness to learn.
Find out more at cronkite.asu.edu.
Welcome back to Cronkite News. I'm Addison Lenhart with a look at tonight's news headlines. We all feel the triple-digit heat in the valley, but if you're living on the street, the heat can become a matter of safety. Cronkite News reporter Caroline Rowland tells us how local outreach teams and heat relief centers are helping people take that first step indoors.
In Phoenix heat, outreach starts before someone walks into a shelter. From 2025, Maricopa County's latest point-in-time count shows homelessness is nearly flat overall.
We did see an increase in sheltered homelessness and a decrease in unsheltered homelessness. That is really what we want to see long-term, is more people in shelter, more people accessing services and connected to services.
The unsheltered count went down 12%. While the number of people who are in shelters went up 14%. At one of Phoenix's heat relief centers, now open 24/7, the first priority is cooling people down. But one city official says the longer-term work is to remove barriers that may keep people on the street.
Over the last few years, we've opened up an additional 1,200 new shelter beds, while also increasing our ability to get people off the streets by creating resources that take care of partners, that take care of pets, and we take care of people's property.
Phoenix Rescue Mission's outreach team takes that work directly to unhoused individuals. Sergio Armendariz says offering something as simple as water can build enough trust for someone to accept help.
I think that they do want help, but there's just a lot of walls being put up. They've been hurt, and so that's what our goal is, to go out there and make some meaningful connections with people.
Connections combined with resources see results. The city of Tempe invested $137 million over 4 years. Phoenix is also investing more. Outreach workers say the real measure of progress is what happens after someone says yes to help. In Phoenix, Caroline Rowland, Cronkite News.
The city of Phoenix says the 24/7 Heat Relief Center is not only for people experiencing homelessness. It is also available for those who need help with electricity-related issues during extreme heat. Construction on a new expansion of the Loop 303 begins today in response to the growing West Valley. Crews will first begin clearing the way of Cotton Lane just south of I-10. The 4-year project will cost $613 million and span 4 miles into Goodyear. It will eventually connect to State Route 30, according to ADOT, while the second phase of the project between the Loop 303 and Estrella Parkway is expected to break ground in 2033. President Donald Trump touched down in France today to kick off the G7 summit, beginning a week expected to be filled full of discussions on Iran and Ukraine. President Trump took to Truth Social to announce that ships are moving through the Strait of Hormuz, following the announcement that a deal with Iran is in place. But no details have been released about the agreements within this deal at the time. However, the president is already pivoting his geopolitical strategy, talking about the conflict between Ukraine and Russia earlier today.
We had a very good conversation yesterday with President Zelensky and President Putin, and I see maybe we can do something there. I really do. I think they're both open to it. So I'm going to, now that this is finished, we're going to be focusing on that. See if we can.
The signing of the peace agreement between the U.S. and Iran is expected to take place Friday in Switzerland. But before President Trump's comments, Russia unleashed another set of strikes on the nation's infrastructure, this time attacking a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The strike left 4 dead and more than a dozen wounded, with firefighters still working to douse the flames in the early morning hours. Ukraine's Air Force says Russia launched 611 drones and 70 missiles in last night's attack. The UK announced plans to implement significant restrictions on social media today. Prime Minister Keir Starmer's administration will be banning various social platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, X, and YouTube for children under the age of 16, taking after Australia's restrictions last year. The social media platforms will now require identity and age verification for access.
Because the need for action could not be any clearer. Social media is making our children unhappy and unsafe.
The legislation will be adopted by the end of this year and come into effect in the UK early next year. "21 senators are writing to the USDA saying they aren't doing enough to combat the screwworm outbreak. 9 cases across Texas and New Mexico have been reported in cattle. If not addressed properly, the outbreak could send beef prices soaring and the economy tumbling leading up to the 4th of July. Sterile flies are expected to be flown in from Panama to help with the containment efforts. That's it for tonight's news headlines. I'm Addison Lenhart. Thank you so much for joining us. Now back to Zoe and Andrew at the desk.
Coming up next, the Stanley Cup is officially over after 6 games, with the Carolina Hurricanes finishing on top.
That's right. It was the Hurricanes' first Stanley Cup in 20 years. Even with the team in North Carolina winning, some Arizona hockey fans are getting to celebrate the win here in the Valley. The reason why? Coming up next on Cronkite News.
People have always had trouble trying to put me into a box. A professor, suit and tie is just not me. Without the ocean, I don't know what I would do. You know, the ocean's always been there for me. As Hawaiian people, we believe that the coral is the first living being to come out of the darkness. It's the foundation of our entire lifestyle, and that's what my research is about. What we do is we take photographs of the reef over long periods of time to create models that can tell us what the planet is doing. If we go deaf to what the Earth is telling us, then we'll never be able to live in harmony. If I can get my students excited about protecting the ocean, then they're the ones who are gonna really make the difference. I hope my students realize that I'm not trying to prepare them for something in the distant future. Their time is now at Arizona State University.
Welcome back. The Carolina Hurricanes defeated the Vegas Golden Knights in 6 games to win the Stanley Cup this Sunday.
It was the Canes' first Stanley Cup in 20 years, but here in the Valley, people are celebrating for another reason. 3 former Arizona Coyotes players hoisted the trophy on Sunday, giving Arizona hockey fans something to smile about, seeing their old players get to the top of the hockey world. Jordan Martinook, Shane Gostisbehere, and Taylor Hall are all ex-Coyotes, were a part of the Hurricanes' winning squad. With professional hockey coming back to the Valley still in question, this gives fans here in Phoenix a little something to celebrate.
Now that's it for tonight's edition of Cronkite News. I'm Andrew Montana.
And I'm Zoe Lamb. Thank you for joining us.
And to see the top stories in Arizona at any time, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.